You know, I'm just sitting here on the commode, which is the best seat in the house, editing video, and the temperature outside is 65, 70 in here. This is slight rain. It's 6:13. We've just had a good dinner. We did some good traveling. We saw some beautiful, beautiful land. I've got this camper that just works. And I've got Joyce. And I'm thinking, what could be better? For me, in my mind, there really isn't anything. Early in the morning, it rained constantly. It poured all night. And then early this morning, it kind of slowed down and came back in waves. Seems like it's stopped now. Everything's wet, but obviously the drainage is good. Coffee's perking. Made Joyce an English muffin. I've got a banana and mandarin orange smoothie. And then we'll be heading out. So, we are
at Dead Man's Cove.
Dead Man's Cove. Just about 2 hours from the top point of Newfoundland, which we'll hit tomorrow. This is definitely boondocking. We're out on a point of land that we had to drive, it said 1,000 meters from the main road. And it's just a shale area. It was on Overlander. There's room here for it's a huge area, huge flat area. You don't need four-wheel drive to get to it, but it's a rough ride. The shale is rough.
Yes, it is.
So we'll show you around a little bit. We have to break camp. Rainy day.
Rainy day. Yes. Yeah.
And we're near the ocean. I've turned the camper facing the other direction away from the water, just to cut down battering if we should want to put the canopy out, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or even
I think we'll be in the camper most of the time.
Yeah, or opening the door to get in and out. At least we're away from the wind.
Yeah.
So.
It's has some grassy areas.
Yeah, and we got the camper parked on a grassy area, but the truck is on shale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're here at Dead Man's Cove. Wow. This is a cliff. I'll show you what that is a little later. And here we are. And I've got the generator going. I think we've got about 4 or 5 days left in the battery. We have 200 amps of lithium that we don't use much. But I have an opportunity to charge it up because we're by ourselves. There's no way we're gonna bother anyone. Right now, Joyce is sitting in the truck because it's the most comfortable seat. It's cool, but it's not cold. And I will tell you that, this is a little village right there. But this place is extremely remote. We've been driving for a long time, hardly seeing any cars. Drive 2 hours and you pass through some little villages like this. We did find one gas station, so we just topped off. Tomorrow, we're headed to the north end of Newfoundland. This is called the Viking Trail. I'm not sure why, but I'm anxious to read about it and find out exactly what's going on. This is where we'll be spending the night. I've taken and turned the camper so that the door and the canopy, which you won't put up, is on the other side in case the wind should start picking up suddenly, because we have had some rain and it's been a little stormy, not too windy, but it's picked up. So I figured if it was on that side, it'd be a lot better. That is a little Champion 2500 watt inverter dual fuel generator. Starts easy, runs great. It'll power the house to some extent for a little while during a power failure. The reason I'm running it now is because I've got some space here without bothering anybody. I figured I'd top off the battery, even though we have a lot left in it. This generator will run 36 hours on a barbecue bottle, and it'll only ramp up to higher speed as you start plugging things into it. So right now, charging the battery, it's pretty much running on idle. So the gas bottle just lasts a long time. It also takes gasoline, but I never plan on using that because in my experience, they tend to gum up carburetors over time. Propane doesn't do that. And the propane is so convenient. You just plug it in, and when you want to turn the generator off, you turn off the propane bottle, and everything that's in it runs out of the generator. So there's no gas tank, so to speak, for propane. This is an interesting little thing. I've got to put it in this orientation so that I can get the whole thing in. It's nothing official. It's just well, let's take a look and see the stuff that's on it. It was built by Hank and Gar in 2021 at 1:53 p.m. and it's got some people's names on it. Have a nice day. Enjoy. Oceana. Genge or Genge. There's some lobster buoys. There is down here is Cole and Rose. There is a sneaker and a fuel tank, some sticks, more buoys. There is a guest box or guest book, please sign. Open it. There's a nail you have to pull out here. And there's the guest book. I'll have Joyce do that later because she's into that sort of thing. And it goes out to this post and this piece of driftwood and Canadian flag. A little weather beaten, but still flag. Well, this is either new or they filled one and put another one up. There's very little in it. Welcome to Dead Man's Cove. Enjoy your visit and please sign this book. Please let us know where you are from. And here is Andrea Gould from Bear Cove, Wilson. Gould from Bear Cove, which is really just south of here. Gladys Gould from Bear Cove. And that's the only entry. So I think I'll bring this into Joyce and let her sign it. breakfast. Yes. A real one. Well, we're here at a very nice little restaurant. He doesn't actually open for an hour, but I don't think he gets a ton of business. So he was just happy to serve us. Took our order, said sit down. I asked Google on the phone, nearest restaurant, and this happened to be about a mile up the road.
Yes.
It was probably the last one for another many miles.
Yeah.
So we wonder how they do business here. It's probably the locals, and then being the only restaurant in a long distance, people will probably search for one and come in, like we did. Nice guy, gonna have to leave him a good tip.
Yes,
Just
definitely.
He's cooking for us before he even opens. Happy, Joyce?
Yes.
That's good. We're having a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, Joyce.
Yeah.
Cape Norman Lighthouse. A little foggy. We are at the far end, north end of Newfoundland. Just a little panorama of the area. There's the camper where we're spending the night. We came from way over there on the other side of that bay. This is the radar tower, and imagine for weather. And there's a small weather station there, and of course a lighthouse. It's not a huge lighthouse because it's already up high on a hill. And of course the North Atlantic. And it is beautiful. Here we are at what would appear to be the most northerly point in Newfoundland. Let me check my watch to see how the picture is here. You've got the lighthouse and a little bit of the ocean showing, don't you? The campers parked over there in the designated parking lot. There are very few places you can go off the road here because there are environmental areas or signs everywhere, but this is one of them. And we've got a nice level spot. I want to say we're in a really desolate area. I mean, we traveled from miles on a dirt road to get up here. Part of it was a little rough. But I don't like using the word desolation. I guess remote isolation would be best, because we also pass a lot of houses coming up here, well, clusters of them. And this is where people live, and they don't live in desolate areas. I mean, this is their home. So they may choose isolation, but desolation isn't it. That sounds bad. When we travel around the country, we go out to the Southwest and the South, and I tell people that we're from Maine, and they think Maine is wonderful and rugged and everything, but in their mind, they see it as in the same latitude as Alaska. And I often hear things in places where they have tornadoes and hurricanes and severe heat and floods. I hear people talk about, oh my God, how do you survive those snowstorms, those nor'easters, the blizzards? And, for us, they're welcome. I always loved a good blizzard. And, they think we're snowed in for a month. The snow is over the roofs. We have to stock up and everything. But, I tell them, no, we're usually out the next day. Even if we get a lot of snow, after a couple of hours, we can take off anywhere as we want. And they find almost that hard to believe. A blizzard for them is like a national emergency for many of them who have never experienced one. But they're really beautiful and wonderful things. And then we have really nice summers. So out here, there's a lot of wind. I would imagine there's a lot of severe weather. I know they must get snow, obviously, but I imagine they would get a lot of wind along with whatever weather they're having here on this nice, I think, relatively calm day because the ocean, doesn't look that rough. It's still breezy, quite breezy, but it must get pretty windy here sometimes. But people who live here, this is home, particularly if they grew up here. I know of all of the places I visited, every state in the lower 48, there's nowhere I really would want to live. Places I could live if I had to, but it just wouldn't feel like home. Beautiful place. I've seen some stuff that even blows Maine away. But I don't think I'd want to live there. And the only reason is because I'm not from there. And the places that I visited, they would love to visit Maine. They tell me all the time, or they have visited, but it's probably not a place they'd want to live because it's not home. It's funny how we see it that way. A place like this that is really out there and is really rather harsh, or would be certain seasons. But for some people, they can't imagine it any other way. I get it. I really do.